All right. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the EdddyLive Podcast 237. It's a little bit early. I'm sorry I'm not nailing my hook here, but I would love to introduce you guys to the hosts and founders of the Taiwanica Podcast, Eric and Anita. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great.
Yeah, doing
Very good.
better and better, Eddie. Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate it. 2024 is, I always tell people, it's the year of the podcast for Taiwan, I believe. And anytime I find a really cool podcast that's kind of a Taiwan theme, Taiwan based kind of podcast. Yeah, I'm all in. So I appreciate you guys jumping on. I know remote podcasts are a little bit more difficult sometimes, but thank you guys for joining.
No, it's our pleasure. It's an exciting time. We heard great things about your podcast, and it's just fantastic to be here today.
Right.
Thank you guys for that. I appreciate it. So let's just dive in, and maybe you guys can tell me what prompted you guys to start a podcast about Taiwan and the U.S.
Would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. One of the biggest things for us to start a podcast was it kind of coincided with us moving to the United States.
Right.
Yeah, we were moving from Taiwan to the United States at the time, and it was mid-COVID. We were trying to get our feet on the ground here, starting a new career, working online, and we were realizing that most of the people that we were working for were Taiwanese. And so one of the things that we noticed is that, wow, I mean, we're both pretty good speakers. We enjoy the communication process that we have together, and why not kind of combine our forces to share some key details about both of our cultures and things along those lines. And it kind of just said, why not do a podcast? We love listening to podcasts. Why not make one? And that's kind of how it began.
It's really cool. And how long have you guys been doing the podcast?
We've been doing the podcast almost 2 years right
Okay.
now. Yeah, it's been a wonderful journey for both of us. Like we get to have quality time. And actually, before our episode, we do like research. So we actually kind of see new things here and there about our own cultures. Like before we just got so used to it and we didn't really look deep into it. So it's kind of like our little project. I would like to see it as our little baby.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, definitely.
You guys just had a baby, right? Recently? Did you not? Yes. Okay, good. I was doing my research too. Yeah. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. We had two babies. We had
Oh, so there you go.
baby.
Well, there you go. I didn't do it well enough, apparently. So there you go. Very cool. Very cool. So I guess, did you have them in the States? Both of the babies? Yeah.
Oh, I mean, is that Taiwanica is one of the babies, Eddie. So.
Oh well, there you go. Okay, that was one of my questions. Yeah. There you go. Well, I obviously did. I need some improvement.
Coffee, just drink.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's an early day. It's an early one for me.
Get it.
We get it.
So well, tell me about the name. Yeah, that's one of the big questions. One of the names. Yeah.
Our baby. I almost say our baby's name is Kaya. He's almost 2-year-old. He will be 2 in May.
That's his birthday.
His name is Kaya. He's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. And Taiwanica. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a beauty too. And
I thought it was a she.
Oh wow! You obviously don't know much about our baby.
Who's changing the diapers here? Yeah.
I know, right? Seriously.
There you go.
Yeah, and Taiwanica was born in January of 2022.
Right.
That's amazing. So in Taiwan, so my wife is Taiwanese as well, and so when you have like in Taiwan, you have like sort of the mixed babies, right? When you have like a sort of an American or a Canadian and a Taiwanese baby, they seem to get like a lot of attention, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, mixed babies!" And it's a term that I learned about when I came here, because I mean, in Canada, nobody really notices stuff like that. I don't know what about the States? Is that a thing over there?
I mean, if you're talking to, it really just depends on the family, but
Okay.
most people, no. Everyone's just kind of a mixed bag here.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Beautiful. How do you guys sort of choose a topic? You know, you're talking about let's do the podcast. Let's get a topic. How do you guys find topics for your podcasts?
I think mainly from because we also have a job which is teaching Taiwanese people like
Okay.
English, teaching them English. So we kind of build this relationship with them, like friendship. So sometimes they will share their emotional troubles or worries, and they would kind of get like pieces of information. Might like this might be the topics that most Taiwanese people are thinking, and maybe they cannot find a solution. So there's a really good like information for us to build the episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so moving back there, you're saying you're doing most of your work online, right? Maybe you could tell me a little bit about what you guys do and why you decided to go back to the States.
Sure. The two things that we're talking about here kind of correlated. Is one of the things about us is that we wanted to leave Taiwan to explore a new land, even though we really loved being in Taiwan. And so one of the things that we decided is that originally we were thinking we're going to move to Mexico.
Nice.
Uh, but and Mexico's great, love it. But at that time, because of COVID, my mother really needed someone there to take care of her. She was, cooped up in her house as a hermit for almost 2 years.
Yeah,
So
it's tough.
we, yeah, and so we decided in the end that United States would probably be a better choice, especially to give birth to our son.
Hmm.
And so it all combined as America's going to be the best place for now. Let's give it a shot. And we didn't really know what to do for work because we're both English teachers, and
Hmm.
America is a English speaking country. So we're like,
Gotcha.
oh man, well, what are we gonna do, right? And
Yeah.
so, in the end, we decided to try to find work online because our main goals are family, unity, and just constant quality time, And so, how can we combine all of these things? And so, fortunately, my mother, found a job that had people that they were looking for to have English teachers online, and it just happened to be a Taiwanese company.
Okay.
So we moved to the United States, but we started working in Taiwan. It was a very funny coincidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, obviously, being here, you guys know that the English teaching thing is massive. I mean, I think most foreigners slash expat, whatever the term is that that we use now. We all started as an English teacher, and I did it as well. My wife did it as well. We eventually started our own business, which is yeah, it's a pretty good. It's we have a Mexican restaurant out here, and yeah, I
Nice.
don't know. Yeah, it's been a pretty good thing. But you mentioned Mexico, right? So tell me about a little bit about that because you were saying that you speak Spanish, which is
Yeah.
pretty awesome. So tell me a little bit about what was yeah, your connection to Mexico, maybe.
Absolutely. Well, my family moved down to Mexico. I think it was in 2013, and they lived in Querétaro,
Okay.
uh, in the center of Mexico. And they lived there for about 8 years. And
Wow.
when I graduated from university, I decided to join them because I was kind of in this intern before I was going to the next part of my life, which was in Japan. But
Oh,
while I was in Mexico, I met fantastic people. The food
oh yeah.
amazing. I immediately felt a sense of belonging when I was there. It was an incredible experience. I never have felt so connected to a community so fast.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so fantastic place.
Okay. Okay. Do you have any favorite foods from Mexico?
Oh
Yeah,
my
foods are
God.
always a good topic. Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, I can always have chilaquiles.
Okay.
Yes, with salsa verde. That green
Okay.
salsa. That stuff's the best, especially after a long day of having fun.
Yes.
Other than that, tamales. I love
Oh,
tamales.
okay.
And then the best, I guess, you can never go wrong with tacos.
Yeah.
But I guess ceviche is another one. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. That's funny because when you mentioned tamales, we had when we were here for COVID, obviously, and there was a 3 or 4 month sort of not really a lockdown, but like a no dine-in policy, right?
Mm.
And we had our staff, and we had a pretty good crew, and we didn't want to let anybody go, so we started to make tamales, and we started to like ship them all over the island. And I
Ooh.
remember it was raining here a few times, and I was like on the scooter, kind of like driving to Nehu
Oh,
and driving all over Taipei, dropping off like sort of like 12 packs of tamales. And it was
ooh.
awesome because we thought, you know what, they're a ton of work. I don't know if you've ever
Yeah,
made them from scratch. It's ridiculous. It's so
I'm
much
sure.
work, right? And here we even we get corn from like an organic farm here. So
Okay.
they send us dried corn, and then we got to wash it, and then we kind of got to do the like the simmer, like a 45-minute sort of simmer with like a calcium sort of powder, cal, right? We do that and let it sit overnight, right? And then next day, you wash it again, and then you kind of add a little bit of salt and you grind it, right? So it's kind of a crazy process. So we thought
Mm.
that's just the one step. So we do that for our tortillas, but that's just like one step, and you got to like
Wow.
add, it's crazy. It's a long process. So I thought, well, usually they sell well when we do them, because we never do them because there's so much work. And
Right.
and I just thought, let's pre-sell like, you know 80 or 100 or something, right?
Mm.
And so we put them up, and we're like, okay, support, your favorite restaurant. We've got, tamales. We're making tamales, taking care of our people and stuff. And we just kept saying, I got a little bit of trouble from my wife, because I just kept saying, yeah, yeah. People like, oh, 6 more, oh, 12 more, or 6 more. And I kept saying, yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I took all the orders. And by the end, when we tallied them up, it was like 630 or
Oh my
650
God.
tamales. And I thought, holy, this is
It
days
is.
and days and days of work, which was
Yes, it
crazy. Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It,
Well, good profit, but man, I bet you were sweating at the end of it.
it was
Yeah.
kind of crazy, man. It was crazy because we had the staff, and the staff, of course, me and the staff were making them. And we had to have this like assembly line of, the dough, and then, kind of like the leaves and stuff like that, and just filling them and wrapping them, and just, it was crazy, man. But so good. My daughter's like, how come we haven't made those in a while? And I'm just like, oh,
Because
Don't mention
crazy.
it.
my fingers burn thinking about them.
Exactly. And it was like a nightmare for some of the staff. Like, oh my gosh. And I tell them once in a while, I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing tamales again. And they're just like,
No, no, no.
no, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah. It's so
That's
funny.
hilarious.
So back to the podcast. So why don't you guys tell me, how do you feel like you sort of incorporate your like sort of American culture and Taiwanese culture, and kind of blend them together to, share in your podcast?
I think I wouldn't say American culture is
Okay.
like, represent
Gotcha.
global culture, but it is a significant culture that most people can see from the movie, or it's
Hollywood.
like, yeah, Hollywood or fast food restaurants.
In and
I
out.
think my purpose and my role in our podcast Taiwanica is to bring, like, use American culture because of Eric. Did I just call you Eric? I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Erica. He's good.
Erica.
Yeah.
It's,
Did you get used to that?
Yes.
get it all the time.
Yeah. I love it.
So I use Eric's culture background as like a kind of like a standard. It's not comparison, but give us the awareness of what is it like, and bring in the Taiwanese culture aspect to help people to have the awareness about what Taiwan is actually like. So, bringing more awareness from the foreigner for the foreigners, so they can one day maybe they have interest, and Taiwanica can be their channel to get into know to know this culture
Mm,
and country.
mm.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It's just basically the idea of infusing culture with our perspectives of what is the cool things that we see and what do we think we can match with between the West and Taiwan. And what can we do to help our listeners understand that if you're in this kind of situation of either being in this place or in this scenario, what would be a thing that you could do? And it's fun because it just gives people realizations of things that they didn't realize that they were doing before, but all of a sudden, hey, oh man, I'm actually doing this right now. Oh, I remember what Taiwanica said. I can give this a try right here, and see what happens for them. Like give them that little blueprint and they can go and try it out, sort of thing. That's why it's fun.
Okay, so kind of like a bridge from sort of the States kind of to Taiwan, yeah.
Yeah, you could say kind
Something
of
like
like
that.
that.
Something like
Yeah.
that. Beautiful. And do you think so? If you were to ask, sort of like, let's say, the average American, like I recently went back to Canada for a month. I hadn't been back in like 5.5 years, pre-COVID and stuff. And
Wow.
I had some crazy questions when I went back. So, when you go back there and you mention Taiwan, sort of what's the first thing that pops into people's head about Taiwan?
First things that pop into
Yeah.
people's head
Is there
about
is there
Taiwan.
something? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there we could talk about the political aspect, but I
Okay.
mean, a lot of people I'm sure, are aware that a lot of people think about Taiwan and its relationship with China,
Mhm.
right? There's a big thing there, but another big thing that I've noticed as an American is most people will relate. Wow, Taiwanese technology is really booming these
Okay. Yeah.
days. So the technology industry is another big one. But most people in America find Taiwan as a curious place. It's kind of this country that they've heard of before, but they're not really sure what's it about. And so one of the things that I always like to give them insight on
Yep.
is like, oh, the food culture is amazing, the
Yeah.
people's culture is amazing, and of course the landscape is just phenomenal. So, but most people don't know where it's geographically located. Sometimes they confuse it with Thailand,
My parents thought I was
or
in Thailand for a long time. Yeah.
yes, yes. And so these are the things that we, at least I, have always tried to give people perspective on. It's just, Taiwan's a great place. It's this place that a lot of people don't know about because they just haven't heard much about it.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. Very good. Yeah. Same with Canada. I think. I was saying my parents. My mom thought I was in Thailand for a long time, and then my dad thought I was in Japan. And I've been here for a long time. It's funny, right? I've been here for a long time, and I, I can't remember how long ago. Maybe 10 or 15 years ago, there was a sort of a big tsunami in Japan. Right? It was like it was bad. It was big news and stuff. And so, like a month later, my mom called. My family's Mexican, right? So my mom calls me. She's like, "Mijo, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Oh, what happened?" And she's just like,
Uh,
"Yeah, I just heard the news." And I'm like, "Well, what news?" And she
yeah.
said, "The tsunami." And I said, "That was first of all, that's Japan. Second of all, that was like a month ago." So so she's like, "Yeah, I just heard," because my mom is not really, in the news and stuff like that. She doesn't really know too much about
Man.
that. So it was kind of funny. Yeah, it was just a quick story there. Really funny.
It's funny because like if you were actually there, you would have been long gone,
I know. That's the whole point. Yeah, because it's like a month later. Like, what are you
Yeah,
talking about? Yeah,
exactly.
kind of crazy, man. That's so
Yeah, it's really funny.
it's crazy. Let me pull this question up really here. So, what role does like mindfulness play in sort of your daily lives? I know you guys touch on that a lot in your podcast, so maybe we can kind of elaborate a bit on that.
Sure. Well, mindfulness is a term that, if you look at it, it means like to have a full mind, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And the thing that we're trying to teach here in our podcast is having ideas of who you are and the kind of emotions that you have and the connections that they are related to are important to be aware of. That's what mindfulness means to
Okay.
us. But
Okay.
to constantly be filled with thoughts and like to be thinking about these affirmations or confirmations. See, this is not what mindfulness truly is about. We're trying to just basically help you notice who you're being. And then when you're noticing that, how does that relate to who do you want to be?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this is the connection that we're trying to bring up in our podcast with emotions first. And so we're
Okay.
going through a series of our season 2 right now, talking
Nice.
about really complex emotions that people have, but they're not really aware they're occurring in their daily lives. So a good
Okay.
example of that is like this guiltiness, right? Or shame,
Shame.
right? So these things, they happen to us on a regular basis, but are you aware that they're happening? And if
Okay.
you are, then you can actually take action on them. But if you're not, then they're taking action on you, right?
Okay.
I think,
Okay.
yeah, the first step is always the awareness. And the one thing I always teach my students or my clients is you have to, one, first aware your emotions, recognize it, and embrace it. That's when change starts to happen. So every step away requires mindfulness. So you have to really utilize your ability of being mindful of, like what Eric mentioned, where are you right now in your life and who do you want to be? And you start to take action. So that's what we are trying to teach our listeners or our students.
Okay. Beautiful. Nice. Good answer. You guys are, you're good. You're good. So do you guys have a like sort of a secret behind like a healthy, like a work life sort of a balance? So maybe we can share with some of the listeners.
Oh, the first thing is, life throws
Yeah.
different kinds of challenges that you face all the time, every day. I think for me, the tips I would like to share is to calm your mind first and make your purpose the loudest voice in your mind. Because we got sidetracked about a lot of missions for other people's, for our children, for house chores. But there is a thing that driving you forward to your future, which is that your purpose. Everything that we do, every decisions that we make at this moment has to be purpose driven. So every day find your purpose, make a priority, and figure it out, who do you want to be today and what
Mm.
is the step that you can take. Doesn't matter big step or small step. One step that you can take today will help yourself moving forward towards your long-term goal. That would be, a daily practice. And what is beautiful about that is you can practice literally every single day. If
Mhm.
today you have your to-do list and you didn't, for example, you didn't finish three out of your list, think about how can you make it even more, like things to finish even more next day. So
Okay.
that's how keep us moving forward.
Hmm.
That would be the tip I can share.
Yeah. To add on to that, what we do as a couple is, since we are working at home, we also have a child, we do a podcast, we also have our own business. We're juggling a lot of balls all at
Yeah.
once.
Yeah.
And so the clearest thing that, like Anita already said, is having purpose, but
Okay.
the intention of how you're designing yourself is really important as well. So we have designed what we call a life book,
Okay.
and we have different pages of that life book that all are illustrating different aspects of life. To give an example, like, what is my career? What do I want that to look like in the next 12 years? What is my future house? What do I want that to look like in the next 12 years? All of these different little aspects of what I'm aiming for are clearly visible. People call this manifestation, people call
Hmm.
this visualization. They're very common terms. But the idea here is that we're setting short term goals with, like Anita said, having a to do list, and also a long term goal. Where are we aiming? What's our trajectory? And then we're always trying to make new little points within that timeline so
Gotcha.
that we can keep on heading there.
Okay. Is it sort of so like being aware of your goal and then kind of reverse engineering your way sort of all the way to the end kind of type thing. Yeah.
Exactly. It's
Okay.
if you did a meditation and you closed your eyes and you asked yourself, okay, where am I 12 years from now? And then
Okay.
you wait for that to pop up in your mind. And
Okay.
then you're seeing yourself, and then you're asking yourself, that 12-year future old version of yourself, okay, what did I do for the last 12 years?
Yeah.
Right?
How did I get there?
Yeah, exactly. How did I get to where
Yeah.
I am now?
Okay.
Right. And that 12-year-old future version of yourself will give you guidance, right?
Okay.
Like, oh, I did this, I did that. And you're like, okay, I'm writing these notes down, right? I'm getting
That's
these
cool.
ideas in my head, right?
Uh-huh.
Because technically, we're just basically time jumping.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
really cool. I love the manifestation stuff like that. That's really powerful.
Yeah.
So you guys mentioned you're juggling so many things, right? So what does like a typical day look like for you guys? I'm sure it's kind of a crazy question because for me myself as a business owner, like it's kind of crazy. So what about you
Yeah.
guys? Tell me a little bit about like what's a typical, well, quote unquote typical day for you guys.
Oh man. Well, you know, wow. Well, if I
Is there
may,
one?
I mean, the thing is that it's developing continuously.
Okay.
So if you asked me that question 1 month ago, my answer would be completely different from what I'll tell
Mhm.
you right now. And so what that means is that 1 month from now, this is probably going to be very different when I tell you at this moment.
Sure.
But the idea is that we as business owners and podcast creators and all those things is we're just trying to create ideas and see what we really like. And
Mhm.
then if we like it enough, we will make it concrete. So it just becomes kind of a pillar inside of our daily lifestyle. So one of the most recent ones is what Anita mentioned, which is the to-do list. What we do every
Mhm.
day is to make sure the night before we go to sleep is just use our intuition to create ideas of what we want to get done the following day.
Okay.
And then when we wake up in the morning, we look at that sheet and we're just basically blam, 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 getting all these things done. And on
Okay.
top of that, we have little meetings. This is the newest thing that we've added is that every
Mhm.
day we have a meeting related to one aspect of our life. And so that's been really helpful so far.
I love it.
Yeah.
Definitely a big help for our personal life because when you are having this newborn business,
Mhm.
you putting all of your energy and a given moment to working on this project. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's off balance for your life.
Mm.
So that's why we have this new system added into our daily life, which is every day we're gonna put just 1 hour to look at our life. What can we do better outside of our, as business partner? We do great as a business partner for each other, but
Sure.
are we good enough for each other as partners?
Mm.
Are we
Okay.
being supportive enough? So
Okay.
those 1 hour each day has been very, very helpful for our either parenting style
Mhm.
with our kid, with our life, with our romantic outings,
Yeah.
any kind of aspects being very, very helpful.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot of different balls that are being juggled. I'm again myself. I have my daughter and the restaurant, and then the podcast, and then interviews, and then research, and of course my wife. And you try to go out for dates and stuff like that. And recently, this past month has been a bit crazy for us because two of our main staff they work really hard. They're doing really well, so they went home for a month for holidays, and so we've been back sort of full time in the restaurant, and it was a really busy month, which is good. I'm not going to complain about that, but it was kind of like at the end of the day, you're just like, whoa. You come home, you take a shower, and I thought prepping a podcast at like midnight, you're just thinking, man, this is kind of crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, good for you to keep up the fight,
Yeah.
even though you're having a struggle. I mean, that
Yeah.
shows you're dedicated.
Right.
Yeah. I think again, we'll speaking of the podcast, do you guys have any sort of favorite moments or any sort of a memorable moment where you were doing one and you thought, boom, this is it. I like this. I got to keep doing this.
I think both of us had our own like memorable moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Would you like
Would you
mine?
like?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
please share. Yes.
Our season 2 has been wonderful, like teaching people about the awareness about their emotions. But me personally, as a Taiwanese, I really enjoy my single episode
Mhm.
about sharing my experience about learning English as a Taiwanese.
Yeah.
I think it's in that episode, I not just include about language learning. I also encourage people, especially Taiwanese people, because our cultural setting is like everything is either right or wrong. There is no like buffer area whatsoever. And that has been in our education systems throughout
Yes.
the whole time.
Agree. Yeah.
Right. So a lot of people actually been trapped on this kind of society standard. They didn't get the chance even to just open mind to embrace different kind of culture or just the language, for example. So people started to lose interest. If you ask kids, they might be saying, I don't like English, it's not
Yeah,
fun.
for sure.
Actually, right, it's not the language itself, it's our mindset or our standard. There was so much standard we need to meet.
Mm.
So in that episode, I actually break it down and I wanted Taiwanese people to learn like language is about your chance to learn different part of who you are.
Okay.
Maybe you'll love, American culture. Like maybe you don't know, you find yourself a different identity by learning this language. But the first thing you need to break free from this so-called tag, like you need to be either right or wrong when you're saying a certain sentence. By
Yeah.
just having an awareness like that, you will enjoy the things that you're learning just more. You'll just bring joy to your life. And that's what we all need to learn as a
Sure.
time. It's like being more open-minded, seeing a different culture and embrace the difference.
Mm,
Wonderful. I love that. Yes. Yes. And yourself?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's beautiful. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing
That
that.
was wonderful. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank
Yeah.
you.
For me personally, I think it's the recently with the emotional mindset is we have noticed a lot of people receiving deep impact from uh, things like our episode sense of belonging, which
Mhm.
a lot of people in Taiwan and globally, honestly, have started to lose more and more of this connection with other people,
Okay.
whether it's because of social media
Mhm.
or because of people traveling more internationally and living abroad or working from home instead of in an office.
Yeah.
There's just been so much convenience of being in solitude.
Yeah.
And because of this, people, of course, are having easier lives, but they're losing something that they're not noticing, and that is human to human contact.
Yeah.
And because of this, we're actually seeing huge spikes of depression,
Okay.
more than we've ever seen. And so when we created this episode, sense of belonging, a lot of people came to the understanding of, oh, wow. I've actually noticed this in my own life that we're having these disconnections with even people I'm talking to on a daily basis, even with my
Yeah.
parents.
Okay.
When I sit down with my parents in front of the table, all we're doing is playing with the phone. Or when
Mhm.
I go out to the restaurant with my girlfriend, we're literally just playing with our phones.
Yeah.
Or when my child wants to eat dinner with us, I literally put a YouTube video
Mhm.
in front of them.
Yeah.
Then they realized, oh wow, this is actually us distracting ourselves from connection.
Yeah.
And so when we created that episode, not only did we have a deep realization, but everyone else on our podcast fan group came to us and said, wow, wow, that was just really insightful. So that was a
Okay.
real big moment for me. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's 100% true. I mean, we have a restaurant and we see that a lot, and it's tough. I mean, sometimes I'm even guilty of it as well. Like we'll go out and again, we work a lot, so we've had a long day. My daughter has school. She's in grade 6, and
Mhm.
you went through the local system, right? So it's kind of there's a lot of homework
Right.
and there's a lot of pressure. And so when she's not doing that, we kind of like, especially me, I'm kind of like, just let her kind of chill because I don't want to burn out this. She's just a kid.
Mhm.
And again, like you were saying earlier, she doesn't really like school that much because it's a lot. I felt actually really bad the first time I dropped her off at grade 1, because she's like, I don't really want to go. I want to stay with you guys. And I
Mhm.
told her, it's it's going to be fun. Your friends are there. You're going to have fun. You're going to learn some new things. And I remember picking up my grade 1 daughter, and I'm like, how was school? And she's looking at me. She's this tiny little kid. And she's like, yeah, oh, you lied to me, Dad. And I'm like, what are you
Oh,
No,
talking? And I'm like, what are you talking about?
heartbreaking
And I was
moment.
so like crushed. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you go into school and they just tell you to sit down and be quiet and just listen, and you're not allowed to talk to people. And I'm like,
Right.
yeah,
Oh,
sorry about that.
sorry.
I felt so bad. I thought, oh
yeah.
man, yeah, it
That's
was crazy.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, poor
That's
girl.
like
Well,
yeah, it was pretty rough.
hopefully she's developed a better connection with school since then.
She's okay with it now. There's a lot of homework here, I mean, it's Taiwan, right? So there's a ton of homework, and she's going to junior high next year. So she's not, she's okay with it, but yeah, she's not like, she doesn't love it. It's tough. Like we were talking about culture earlier, for us, especially for my daughter, because we're in Taiwan. My wife is Taiwanese, so obviously we're very sort of into the Taiwanese culture. But also, I will pull my daughter out of school, like on a Monday we're closed, and we'll just be like, okay, message the teacher, tell him she's not coming today, and we're going to the beach. so so we
that's
just,
nice.
yeah, and
Right.
I think not many teachers or not many people do that.
Right.
So the teacher now knows, but in the beginning teachers were kind of like, what's going on? And then
Right.
my wife would be like, the dad's a Wygoran, so he's like, okay, everyone's tired.
What girl's exception?
Using
Yeah,
the
it's like, all
whiteboard.
right, you know what, we're good. They go to the beach, they skip school on Monday once in a while, and they go to the beach, and then everybody's like, okay, yeah, so it's okay. But it's kind of a funny thing. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, well,
that-
I mean, that's great that you do that for your
Right.
daughter. That gives her a little bit of insight that
Mhm.
there's something more than school.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I think school's tough here because I think it's like when my wife was growing up, they used to like rank the kids, like this kid is number one, this kid's number two. I'm not sure if they still do that. My daughter doesn't really talk too much about it because she's like, yeah, how was school today? And she'd be like, it's boring. It's kind of
Mm,
like what I would say when I was a kid. So she's got a really good mix of sort of the Western and the Eastern mindset. But yeah, going to the beach on a Monday instead of school, she loves it.
yeah, that's great. Yeah.
it's it's funny. So what about, like, we're talking about cultural differences? So what about some spirituality? It's going to be very different, sort of the U.S. and Taiwan. So what are some things that would sort of come to mind when I would mention cultural differences, Taiwan versus U.S.?
Mm.
With spirituality,
Yeah,
uh,
or with anything
well,
really. Yeah, go ahead.
well, with anything,
Yeah.
cultural differences and spirituality. Well, for me,
Mhm.
spirituality and cultural differences inside of the United States is that we're so diverse.
Yeah.
There's so much going on to the point where if you ask an American what is American culture,
Yeah.
they'll look at you with a confused face because they think, do we have a culture?
Okay.
Because it's just so mixed together with so many things. The calendar is full of different holidays. And
Yeah.
so if you want to follow a specific path, by all means do so. I mean, Christmas and Christianity are, the commonalities.
Hmm.
But Christmas these days is more commercialized than anything. It's not really a religious aspect for
Mhm.
most people.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to spirituality inside the United States, it's more of a if you do, great. If you don't, that's fine, sort
Hmm.
of thing. No one really announces their
Okay.
religion inside the United States. If you go to a church, it's not something that you bring up on a dinner table.
Gotcha.
It's not something that in order to create friendships, it's just kind of a thing that you do, right? If
Yep.
you do it, oh, okay. But if not, oh, okay, right? It's not, there's no judgment based on anything when it
Okay.
comes to spirituality inside the United States. And for us, I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Having that openness is fantastic because for me personally, I grew up with a mother who was a Catholic and then a father who is Mormon.
Oh.
And they're both coming from the same religious tree,
Yeah.
but their perspectives on life were very different. Despite that, I still didn't have influence from either of them.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
I didn't grow up with any sort of religion. I considered myself agnostic for most of my life. But until we actually got in a car crash, there
Oh,
was, yeah, that was life changing for me, and I realized that life is too short to think that I know everything, and so I just came to the realization that I don't know a lot, and who can I connect to have a deeper spiritual connection, and so that's where my spiritual journey began.
okay.
And so seeking out spiritual teachers, and all these sort of things. And that's kind of what United States is about these days, is that we're
Okay.
not looking for God necessarily. I'm
Yeah.
using, the quote fingers here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We're looking for like this spiritual awakening,
Mhm.
right? I'm looking for like, what is something greater than myself?
Hmm.
Because there has to be something bigger. We live in a humongous universe.
Sure.
So is there something else out there? This is kind of like the search that I'm starting to go through, and I know a lot of other people have been. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah. In Taiwanese culture, we don't really, I mean, we are very, very focused on religion,
Hmm.
not really on the spirituality though. Like we just do that because our ancestor did that.
Hmm.
For example, going to the temple, worship God, those kind of just in part of our culture,
Hmm.
like every kind of important holidays, we have to have like a whole ceremony to celebrate that day. There was a lot of God involved worship, those kind of thing. So I would say most of the people they don't have the deeper understanding why they are doing that.
Yeah.
Hence, they don't have the really true connection between so-called God and themselves. So from my family, as my father, he is a traditional Taiwanese guy. So he,
Gotcha.
we have like shine at home. So he has to get the instant steak every day, I think. Yeah, every day.
Okay.
So, but grew up in the family like that. I don't have deeper connection to the God that he is worshipped to.
Okay.
And yeah, it's never exist in my, at least not in my household, my original household. So this kind of spirituality I actually being exposed to when I moved to the United States.
Okay.
And the difference between us is uh, Eric is very spiritual, so he's looking for like guru and this kind of
Okay.
type. I'm very fascinated about science, so I
Okay.
will sometimes wanted to. This is really interesting. I try to prove him wrong, and I'll go through the scientist route and come out the same answer. So it's just like
Okay.
everything just actually connect together. It's all universal. It's very interesting. So every time we're talking about this topic, like spirituality, we're talking about the same thing, but we're using different language. So we're actually kind of like learning from each other
Hmm.
as well. So it's quite fun.
Yes,
Beautiful. And
absolutely.
I think that there's no like correct or incorrect answer,
Yeah.
right? I think it's all about
Mhm.
learning, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really
Absolutely.
Fun.
Yeah.
That's really cool. We hit some pretty deep questions and deep topics here, but let's do a little something a little funner, right? What are some three best things that you think about, when you're going back to the U.S. from Taiwan, or what about three things that when you come back to Taiwan where you're like, yes, let's do this. We're in Taiwan.
Oh.
Is
Oh.
there anything like something fun, So it's not so, like, yeah.
Oh, wow. Can you think of anything?
Like the fun thing that we get to enjoy in Taiwan.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
come to Taiwan, some three things that you miss, and you're like, yes, we're going to Taiwan. I'm doing this.
Definitely the food.
Yeah,
Yes.
of
Like
course.
so good. I
Yes.
I would say every Taiwanese people are foodies. Like we are
Mhm.
so dedicated to our food.
Yes.
Yeah.
And every time you go to a night market, there will be definitely a new like snack come out. Like
Hmm.
this time they put rice into the chicken leg. It's like, what? It's like
Yeah.
we are very innovative about our food, and we are serious about that.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
Yeah.
So food is definitely a big thing. So that's just everything I look forward to before I, go to Japan. Not Japan. Go to Taiwan.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, Japan has great food
Yeah,
too.
we also have
Japan has
really
great
good
food too. Yeah.
Japanese food.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
For me, it's definitely danbing, right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I gotta get my danbing as soon as I get there. I'm
Really
getting off the airplane. I'm going to a danbing store. I don't care if it's open or not. I'm knocking on their door and be like, "Aye, give me that danbing now. I
nice.
need it." Yes.
Okay. Wonderful.
Um,
Wonderful. So food
besides
obviously is massive, right? Danbing.
massive,
Danbing is good. Breakfast is nice. Breakfast, you go out for a breakfast and it's really inexpensive. It's really good, and you start the day off right for sure.
yeah.
Mhm.
I think the other things that I can think of definitely is traveling to different cities
Okay.
because each place has its own vibe.
Yeah.
Right. So like going to Taipei, we can go see the city life. We're gonna go do some shopping.
Right.
Going to Taichung, where she's from, we're gonna go see the family. We're gonna
Okay.
go to the local hot spots that we like. Well, we have a favorite cafe there
Yeah.
Nice.
that we love going to. But of course, we always love going to Tainan, and
Okay.
the Tainan is because it's got beach and it's got food.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's basically the three things I can think of is food,
Okay.
family, and travel.
Beautiful.
I
I
gotta
like
add
it.
on to bubble milk tea.
Okay.
I've never liked bubble milk tea when I was in Taiwan,
Okay.
and now that I'm in the United States, and the bubble milk tea in America are just so expensive.
I was gonna say, how
And
isn't it like
I
$20 a glass or something crazy? Like
it's like super crazy. I was like, oh, when I'm go back to Taiwan, I'm gonna drink bubble milk tea every single day for three
yeah.
times.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
So that's like, yeah, that's the thing. It's like you just drink it, you're just like, this is nothing, and it's wonderful. Like you can totally
Yes.
afford it whenever you want. It's like
Yeah.
bubble milk tea,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say,
She.
I love when we go somewhere and there's those drink shops like everywhere, and
Mhm.
you're on a scooter or you're just wherever, you just kind of pull over and you grab a milk tea or lemonade or something, and you're like, yeah, and it's like 50 NT. Like, this is great. I
Right.
love it.
Oh
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Love
That's
it.
incredible.
I
Can't wait
love
for
doing
that.
that. Yeah.
Uh,
What about okay? So you guys obviously decided to go back, to the States. So what are sort of some of the reasons that you're like, yes, we're back in the States? I mean, I'm sure food is one of them. But
Mm.
is it? I don't know. Yeah.
Well, the United States
mhm.
was more of an emotional move
Yeah.
than
Understand
anything,
that.
because of family.
Hmm. Hmm.
But the big thing I think for us when it comes to being in the United States that we absolutely love is the people here.
Okay.
Yes, everyone that we meet here in Oregon are
Mhm.
friendly and
Oh,
open. And
okay.
so we never feel insecure about ourselves. We
Okay.
always feel like we belong inside of the community.
Mhm.
We go to a public library on a continuous basis, and every time we go there, we meet someone new.
Mhm.
Nice.
Um, yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things for us in the United States. Food is great. I mean, don't get me
Okay.
wrong, food is
Yeah.
fantastic,
Okay.
but
Mhm.
we're comparing with Taiwan right now, right?
Okay.
So,
Understand. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but no, I think it's definitely the people and I guess the accessibility of just being able to get anything that you need is
Okay.
here.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you,
Yeah.
honey?
Yeah.
I will think about is the safety though.
Mm.
Like the
Okay.
traffic in Taiwan, it's very convenient. You
Yeah.
can basically take whatever, bus, you bike or whatever. But the traffic is actually kind of scary,
Yeah.
personal opinion. But in America, it's just like you have the right of way if you're a pedestrian. I remember the first week I was in States, I was running across the street.
Yeah.
And the husband's like, oh, my husband, Eric, is like, don't do that. You look like a foreigner. Right here in America, you have the
Just
right of way,
walk.
walk
Just walk.
gracefully.
It's okay.
People wait for you. So that for me is, especially when I, have as a mother has a newborn baby. I
Sure.
remember last September we went back to Taiwan. I was pushing the stroller on the street. I was like, I was so tense because I feel
Yeah.
like that's danger could happen any moment now, and
Yeah.
that's definitely never happened when I'm in the United States.
Okay.
That's definitely a big thing for me.
Cool.
Beautiful. Yeah, I have to agree. It's super convenient. It's a great place. I love it here, but definitely the traffic is one of the crazy things. And I'm always, when I'm on the street or whatever, I'm always like paranoid with my daughter. I'm like, hey, watch the road. Make sure you pay attention. And I'm kind
Right.
of like that guy who's like, make sure you watch the road. And she's like, I'm watching. So I'm like, I know, but people get run over. Watch the freaking road, So it's always like, watch the road. But yeah,
Yeah.
we're in Tianmu, sort of I don't know, the Tianmu area. So there's actually like sidewalks and stuff like that, because I've lived sort of all over Taiwan, and there was a lot of places with no sidewalks and stuff, and those ones were a little crazier. So luckily here there's kind of somewhat there's sidewalks and stuff, which is nice, it sounds funny, but it's nice to have a sidewalk but people will still zip down the sidewalk on the scooter. And so even
Right.
on the sidewalk, like, watch the
Gotta
road,
watch
watch
out.
the road.
Yeah.
Watch out. Yes.
Watch the
Crazy.
side road.
Totally.
Exactly. What? Yeah, watch the side roads. Exactly.
It's not a sidewalk, it's a side road.
Exactly. This was an awesome chat, guys. Do you guys have anything? I mean, I knew we wouldn't be able to touch on everything, but do you guys have anything you really wanted to mention that maybe we didn't touch on before we let's say call it?
Absolutely. Taiwanica Podcast is working on also developing, of course, more emotional episodes, but have people have the ability to connect with others about their feelings. And so, what we do is, or we're gonna actually plan on making a yoga studio in
Right.
Hualien.
Mhm.
And our mission for that is to basically take everything that we teach from our podcast to be in person, like we said, with the sense of belonging, to bring that community together face to face, and kind of just regenerate this idea of community and safety that everyone can enjoy once more. And we decided on Hualien because of two reasons. One, it has that nature aspect of mountain and sea, so it's kind of like a tourist spot for not only foreigners but also Taiwanese.
Yeah.
That's a getaway place, right? So if they can come over there and find peace within themselves, we want to provide that, and
Beautiful.
they can walk away with something that hopefully can grow more all around Taiwan. Because, well, my intention is to become like the self-improvement Waikoran of
The famous
Taiwan.
Taiwanese.
Yeah, you got to do it.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You look the part, man. So it's
Oh,
perfect. So far, so good.
thank you, man.
So far, so good, bro. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Okay. And
Yeah.
Hualien is beautiful, like you were saying. So do you have like a time frame for this? Is that you guys want to come back and set that up, or you kind of want to do that remotely, or how does that work?
Yeah. So
We wanted to move back to
Okay.
Hualien. It's either, I would say, by the end of summer.
Okay.
So
Oh,
they give us time, to generate all the knowledge we learn and all the skills to provide this community for everybody. Because I think Taiwanese people, they have a really good trait, which is they are really good at building their circles. So I wanted to have our yoga studio is a safe circle for them to have self-realization, self-improvement,
okay.
or just like what Eric mentioned, just walk away with a better self and to give to the world. That's the plan.
yeah.
Fantastic. So hopefully by the summer, maybe we'll get to see you guys in person. Maybe we can do another podcast in person if you guys are
Absolutely.
Oh,
you guys are up for that.
totally
Yeah.
down to it.
We would
Beautiful.
love to. It was
Yes.
great
Sounds
to be
great.
here today, Eddie. Thank you
Thank
for
you
having
so
us.
much.
Hey,
Yeah.
my pleasure. Thank you. I'm not sure on which platform, but you guys popped up and I was like, what? Taiwanica, let's go. And I checked it out and I thought, oh, this is great. And I
Yeah.
actually didn't know you guys were in the States. I was listening to a bit. I thought, oh, this is great. So yeah, this is really cool. I appreciate it. And
Well,
I'm trying to, share sort of the podcasts that are cool, sort of a Taiwan theme based podcast. And yeah, you guys nailed it. So appreciate that.
Oh,
Thank you
well,
so
thank you
much.
so much. Well, you keep up the great work,
Yeah.
because by what we've seen, you're doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
So we're going to definitely keep following and definitely keep the support. So
Yes.
keep it up.
Let's build a
Awesome.
community together.
Yeah.
Yeah, please do. And looking forward to Hualien. I love that. It's a great place. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, likewise for your restaurant. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Only
Anytime,
pleasure.
anytime.
Yeah.
Funny thing about the restaurant is my wife is Hakka from Miaoli, right? And so my
Oh.
mother-in-law, she makes this this sort of a kong roll, right? This like Hakka sort of, we call it Hakka pork in English, right? And so she always makes that for me, and it's so good. And we put it on rice and stuff. And then I tell you know what, if you teach me how to make that, I'll make a taco out of it, right? So we have this like
Oh my
kong roll
God, the
taco, and
Amazing.
people just kind of like, they're like, this is weird, this is weird. And then when they try it, they're like, whoa, this is better than your pork. And I thought, okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I want
So
one
come
too.
and try that out. Yeah, my treat. Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, yeah.
cool. I'll take
There
any
you
of
go.
that. What did you name it?
Yeah, we called it the mother-in-law's Hakka pork taco. Yeah.
I
Wow.
like
Yeah.
I love it.
it. Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We love it. And I'm probably gonna have that today. I haven't had it in a while. I'm just thinking about it.
Oh
Beautiful.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So appreciate that. Anyways, you guys, it was beautiful chatting with you guys. Beautiful couple. Looking forward to meeting you guys in person. I did not know it would be so soon this summer, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's awesome. Let me know in advance, and we'll plan something.
Sounds great, Eddie. Thank you
Yeah.
again.
Appreciate
thank
it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will link Taiwanica in the description and the show notes and stuff like that. And yeah, keep in touch. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys next time.
Yeah, see you next
See you
time,
guys.
guys. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.